friends. This is Friday. It's December the 7th, and we've got a topic on today that is of great interest to me, and a very interesting guy, Bill Wickersham. Good to have you here,
thank
Bill.
you so much.
The topic is UFOs, and we've covered this 3 or 4 times now on radio. Two times?
Yeah,
okay,
2 times
on radio,
before,
friend.
right.
I enjoy reading your columns in the Columbia Daily Tribune, and I think that's about how I came about calling you. Let's give the audience a little recap of what we've talked about, what you're doing.
Sure. Really, in the past, we've talked about the fact that UFOs are real. They're real physical flying objects, so well documented, it hurts my head. I mean, just over and over and over by scientists, engineers, military people, etc. So they're real, and they have caused some problems with aviation and some national security problems, which we could expand on a little bit. I think we did once on that. Increasingly, there are people who, including the French, because this is a worldwide phenomenon, they have been the most forthcoming. And
the French government?
Well, it's people who had been with the government, the head of their NASA, a couple of Air Force generals, a whole bevy of engineers and scientists who for 3 years studied this problem and concluded that the ET hypothesis, meaning the fact that there are extraterrestrial visiting others off planet, they believe that hypothesis at about the 90% level of statistical determination. And Edgar Mitchell, our astronaut, says it's about 99 in his view.
Okay, now we have had astronauts who have been in the space shuttle,
yes,
who have been orbiting the Earth, and they have all reported at one time or another seeing something that perhaps was not of our planet. Why is this not talked about by NASA or our government?
Well, let's assume you were an Air Force general in 1947 and there was a crash at Roswell, as we're 99% positive there was, and your skies are being invaded, if you will, by someone, and you have no control, and it's your business to do that. Then what are you going to do? You're going to hush it up, which is exactly what happened. Originally at Roswell, they had a publication in the local Roswell paper saying a disc had landed, had crashed rather.
And then they retracted it.
Then they retracted it and claimed it was a weather balloon. Recently, a CIA man by the name of Chase Brandon just was in the archives at Langley looking at the UFO materials, and his verbatim statement was, it wasn't a damn weather balloon, it was exactly what it was first reported as. This is a man who was with CIA clandestine service 35 years.
Okay, so my question to you is then, why is it being covered up? Why is it supposedly being covered up?
Well, for one thing, once you tell a lie, you keep telling it. We know how that works. Another thing is there was, and perhaps legitimately so, in the early days, a concern about panic. You remember Orson Welles'
yes, the War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds.
Right. Well, don't you think, what do you think would happen if tonight we go home and we turn on the 5:30 newscast, the national newscast, and all 3 or 4 networks are leading with a story about UFOs, the fact that they may be real? What do you think would happen?
I honestly don't know. There have been polls on this very thing, of course, and who would worry, who would be put off, who would be frightened, et cetera, et cetera. And so there has been work done on that, and some of the pollsters say, the bulk of the people say they would not panic, they wouldn't worry about it, they would accept it. Now, saying that and doing it's another thing.
2 different things, right.
I know if you've thought about this, and I have too, you know, I really say, how would I feel?
Yeah.
How would I really feel?
It's interesting at nighttime, especially in the summertime. I live about 35 miles north of town. I'll go out in the summer night and stand out in the middle of the field, and I'll see things that I can't quite explain. Sure. And I've seen it many times where I'll see a light up in the sky and it's zigzagging. Sure. And then it stops, and then it moves away very quickly. I think almost everybody has seen a phenomenon like that. We've got about 2 minutes left here. I want you to mention some of the things that are happening in Denver right now.
Well, in Denver, recently there was a man who, and he did not give his name, who called a TV station and said, I'm on Federal Heights up in a high area. I have a digital camera and I've taken pictures of UFOs at least 2 days a week, always starting at noon. And so he tells them this, and they, of course, didn't debunk him, but they said, well, let's check it out. So they go out, put their camera up, same thing. So they're seeing it.
So when did this happen?
This has been within the last month.
In Denver,
And
Colorado.
it's probably going on today. Yes. In fact, that's one thing folks can do. They can simply Google recent UFO sightings, and you get Australia, you get China right now is real. They have a problem on the border, the Indian border. They've had 100 sightings that neither their military can determine what in the world it is.
So how do we know that all of this is legitimate, too?
Well, what you have to do is it's not all legitimate. That's one of the problems. If you go online and just Google UFOs, you get so much stuff. There's some nonsense. So sorting the wheat from the chaff. When I give my talks, I quote verbatim from people who are military people, generals, admirals, astronauts, government officials like former Governor Symington of Arizona, who's really doing a lot in this field now because of that sighting they had in 1997. They're doing back engineering research on that right now. They've determined that the V that went over Phoenix was 1,500 feet between the side pieces. In other words, it didn't have this part of the triangle. It was just like a boomerang.
I saw that documentary, and if you want to watch it, you can Google "I Know What I Saw."
Yes.
Isn't that it? It's
is,
a documentary that was done by was it the History Channel? Or
Yes, well, it's
or
actually
National Geographic?
James Fox did it, and they showed it on. He produced it. They did it on.
Okay.
On
You know, Bill, we're out of time.
Sure.
We could go on and on, but if people would like to have you come and talk to them,
or show a film. I have that film and others.
Okay.
My email is bwickers@centurytel.net, and I will definitely get back to folks. This is what I do.
Okay, Bill Wickersham, thank you so much for coming
Thank you
by.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Retired from University of Missouri also.
Well, not all the way.
All right, okay, thank you, Bill. It's a pleasure visiting with you.
Okay.
Tomorrow we've got Access Arts and MU Healthcare. Actually, that's Monday. This is Friday. Our program directed by Travis McMillen of the Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio is Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is J.C. Lee, and our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. Have a good weekend. See you Monday. Bye-bye.